We are under a week away from Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 2, and the internet is going crazy. We know that it's Greek-themed, we're starting to get in-game mini live events, and the Battle Pass looks crazy. But most importantly, the community is in good spirits about what they think might be the best Fortnite season that we've had in years. But all of this has got me thinking, what really makes a good Fortnite season? And more specifically, what is the best Fortnite season of all time? Last week on the channel, I put out a poll and I had a live stream covering this topic, and I got a better understanding of what you guys thought were some of the best seasons of Fortnite ever. After talking with all of you and writing the script, it made me aware of a few things. There's two that I want to point out before we get into the specifics of what I think are the best Fortnite seasons ever. First off, the chapter that you started playing is going to tremendously influence your perspective. I started Chapter 1 Season 1 and played every season, so for me, I'll have a fondness and a strong attachment to OG Fortnite. Now, if you started in Chapter 2 or 3, you're not going to have much respect for that time period because you didn't play it. You can't look back fondly at something you didn't play, and that's fair. My second point, and the thing I realized while making this script, is that Fortnite really needs to be broken down into eras, and as of right now, I believe there are two, with the third currently being developed. These can be broken down as the classic era consisting of Fortnite Chapters 1 and 2, and the modern era, which would be Chapters 3 and 4, but how did I come to the conclusion to make these distinctions? As you'll see in the video when we go through each chapter of Fortnite, there are certain similarities with gameplay. For example, Chapters 1 and 2 are very similar in terms of play pattern, loot pool, and overall direction of the game. Contrast that to the modern era when we see a departure from core elements of Fortnite like newer weapons replacing older ones, less consistent live events, specific weapons and items not being available at specific rarities, and most importantly, shorter chapters. These are concepts that the community has talked about at length but has never coined terms for. I'm also curious what you guys think about these distinctions, so leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with how I laid these different eras in Fortnite out, but also leave a comment as to what your favorite seasons of Fortnite are before I give you mine. I also want to point out that I think Chapter 5 is the start of a third era, which I alluded to earlier. As of right now, I'm thinking of calling this the corporate era of Fortnite, but I want to say my opinions on that for a later date when we've gone through a few more seasons of Chapter 5. At this point, it's just too early to talk about that. One last thing I want to keep in mind is that these patterns are not only important to understanding the distinctions between certain eras, but also when trying to figure out what makes a Fortnite season good. There has to be some common thread between the most popular seasons of Fortnite from each chapter. If we can figure that out, we can start to better understand why the community doesn't like certain seasons, or why we ourselves might feel as if certain seasons are lackluster. Now that we have our distinctions, I want to figure out which is the best season from each chapter of Fortnite, and overall, what is the best season of Fortnite that we've ever had. Figuring this out will give us more insight as to what Fortnite Chapter 5 seems to be lacking, and also determining what makes an objectively good season of Fortnite. Since there are so many players who have started in the modern age, let's begin our journey in reverse with the most recent chapter. Fortnite Chapter 4 started off as the perfect blend of mixing older Fortnite with newer ideas. Season 1 was giving us older weapons while mixing in new ones that either felt as good as the old ones or were logical replacements. Even if the pump shotgun wasn't in the game, the Thunder Pump felt like a respectful homage to the original Pump's legacy. I also feel like the kinetic weapons were in spirit of original Fortnite. Over-the-top, goofy weapons that would only make practical sense in a game like Fortnite. You'd never see a kinetic hammer in something like Call of Duty or Apex. On top of that, the storyline was very engaging and continued from where Chapter 3 had left off with Fraction. The buildup of the Shapeless Man, the introduction of Stellan, the Ageless Champion, this mystery of the Oathbound being an older version of the Imagined Order. Learning the fate of the Seven through characters we built relationships with like Amy and Jonesy. Fortnite Chapter 4 set itself up so well, but unfortunately, couldn't keep this momentum, which is why I believe Season 1 was the best for the chapter. When I talked to you all on stream, I said that my other choice would have been Season 4, and many of you had good reasons as to why you thought it should be Season 2, and I will admit, Season 2 gave us the best version of the Chapter 4 map. The problem is, every season after Season 1 just dropped the ball in so many other ways. Whether it was the storyline or the map updates, Chapter 4's other seasons weren't able to keep my interest the same way that Season 1 did. And look, Season 1 wasn't perfect. It did drag towards the middle, but its saving grace was the Heisted update. I honestly believe that this was one of the best updates we've ever seen in Fortnite history. The utility of maxing out your heat level to get regenerating health, the vaults that were spread out along the map with amazing loot, the exotic weapons that could be merged with augments to make insane combos for gameplay, the reintroduction of more OG weapons into the loot pool. This update also had one unique element that the rest of Fortnite Chapter 4 couldn't claim. It didn't rely on a collab. Season 2 was also jam-packed with fun updates, but the issue is each one was dependent upon collab items. And let me make this clear, I love collabs. I think they're a great way to bring new people into the game, but Fortnite is at its most fun when it relies on its own assets and ideas. Season 1 did have collabs, but the game didn't rely on them to make the meta fun. I believe after Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 1, that became the meta going forward. Every season relied on a collab as the big final update, and we're seeing that continue even now into Chapter 5. Now, at this point, you may be confused or even surprised I didn't say Fortnite OG was my favorite season of Chapter 4. As fun as OG Fortnite was, I don't think it'd be right to include it on this list for 2 reasons. 1, it's a recycled version of something that we've had in the past, and 2, it is an example of what the modern age of Fortnite has to offer. Yes, it did come out during Chapter 4, but it doesn't share the same intrinsic DNA that the true 4 seasons of Chapter 4 did. It's also a watered-down shell of the OG seasons that is trying to replicate, but we'll get to that later. However, I want to redirect your attention back to an earlier point. OG was yet another season that didn't rely on collabs, but instead Fortnite's core gameplay and original ideas to provide a solid season for players. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go through the next few seasons. Now, as good as Fortnite Chapter 4 was, what about Chapter 3? Many of you on stream said that you thought Season 1 was the best season of Fortnite Chapter 3, and I can understand that. You guys even gave me a list of reasons why you love the season, which goes as follows. Random weather events, Spoodermons, new mechanics like tents, crowns, sliding, the new map, the storyline, Winterfest, Covert Cavern and Tilted Towers being awesome POIs, the loot pool introducing first-person weapons like the MK7, new healing items like the Shield Keg and the Med Mist, tree kills, all of these things, I agree, minus Colombo, were good additions to Fortnite. However, if I have to give the #1 spot to any season, it's Season 4. I will admit the first 2 seasons of Fortnite had a far superior storyline, and Season 4 did let us down with Fracture, but it made up for it in gameplay. Season 4 gave us consistent map changes which did tie into the storyline, but also built up hype for the live event. It was the most interesting loot pool with a mix of new weapons, OG weapons, the Guggen was incredibly wacky and useful, and last but not least, the Chrome. I played a lot of competitive this season, and Chrome was probably one of the most fun and useful items they added. Not to mention, it really spiced up Chapter 3's meta, which had become insanely stale in earlier seasons, specifically for competitive Fortnite. The balloon faults were also fun to use for rotation and great for early game loot. Finding keys always felt rewarding, whether you found them out in the wild or you got them off of a downed player. Then the excitement of rotating to the nearest vault to claim your prize. Finally, Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 4 was the last time we had a decent Fortnitemares. I know that at the time it wasn't what we wanted or expected. However, compared to the following year, it seems like such a large amount of content. We did get POIs that changed like Shifty Shafts into the Inquisitor's Haunted Mansion, not to mention other Rift Zone-like sections that would change the tone of the location to be a bit more creepy. It was just a fun time to play. One of the big takeaways for me looking back at this season is that compared to the others, I think this is the only time that I had to really think about what type of loot I wanted to carry. I know that a lot of you like Season 1, but even with the Spoodermons, the gameplay just doesn't have the same level of depth that Season 4 does. There were just so many good options for loadouts compared to Season 1's spray meta. The Chrome allowing you to transform into a blob and phase through objects was neat, and the Chrome weapons essentially upgrading themselves the more damage you did was probably one of the most fun and unique ideas Fortnite had for a season exclusive weapon ever. The only other season that was a really tough choice for me to choose from was Season 2. It introduced zero build, sprinting, mantling, still had amazing map changes and loot pool. The storyline was at its best that season compared to the rest of Chapter 3, and we even got huge map changes building up to a live event. However, even with all of this, I feel that Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 4 was just more fleshed out. I think it took full advantage of what Chapter 3 had to offer in terms of gameplay and found a good balance with everything. However, if you said that Season 2 was your favorite, I wouldn't fight you on it. It's undeniably a groundbreaking season. You know, after doing research for this video and seeing a lot of people's comments, I realized that a lot of the older Fortnite players give the modern era a lot of flack, but when you look back at it, it really was a fun period of time to play Fortnite. It's honestly shocking to think about how much we complained about Fortnite back then, and myself being one of those people. However, is there some justification for it? Is there a good reason why we may have felt like we were getting so much less than we had in the past? In order to answer that question, we need to look at what came before and make a return to the classic era of Fortnite. All right, let's get the elephant out of the room. We know that Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2 is arguably the best season of that chapter. This was Fortnite's hold my beer moment. After 4 months of the same meta, Fortnite shook up the status quo with the agency, NPCs, the shakedown mechanic, a bold storyline culminating in the Storm event, and of course, the introduction to Midas. Season 2 gave us everything we needed when we needed it. And if you weren't around to play it this time, I'm sorry because you definitely missed out. This is probably the most beloved season of Chapter 2. And when people think of that chapter, this is the season that comes to mind. You all went crazy in my live stream talking about how much you love Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2, and I get it. It was truly a special time in Fortnite's history. The other one you all went crazy for was the Marvel season, Season 4. Understandably, if you're a Marvel fan, this was your season. The Mythics, the Galactus event, giant mountain that Tony Stark dropped on the map, this was a big season. However, neither of these seasons come close to what I believe is the peak of Fortnite Chapter 2. Y'all better put some respect on the name of Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 7.
Yep, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. No, you don't. Too easy. Oh, God, they're going to blow us up. Kevin! The ship's going!
I don't care how many Marvel Mythics you throw at me, how many Mythic bosses you add. Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 7 pushed the envelope with what we thought was possible in Fortnite. This season felt like a whole event, from spaceships abducting us, teleporting to the mothership, to the mystery of Dr. Sloan and her plan to fight back against the aliens. This season had one of the best loot pools in Fortnite history. All of your favorite base weapons were there, on top of the new alien weapons being added every week, on top of the old weapons and items coming back. Riftigos, shockwaves, and above all other weapons added this season, the mother freaking plasma cannon. I don't know if we've ever had a more fun weapon than this added to Fortnite. Epic, please, please, please bring the plasma cannon back. Now, I need to be transparent with you guys. This was the first season that I played as a content creator. Some of the oldest members in my community I met during this season. I got my creator code this season. I have a lot of love and nostalgia, not just because the game was great, but because I was experiencing Fortnite in a new way as a content creator. Plus, they added Superman in. There could not have been a more perfect time for me to start being a Fortnite content creator than here. I quit Fortnite in Chapter 2 Season 6 because Primal was just so boring. However, my friends got me to play the last day right before Season 7 started, which got me clips from my first TikTok that did pretty well, and the rest, as they say, is history. Here we are. This season to me is an example of Fortnite at its best. This is what Fortnite is all about. They'll take a simple concept like pirates or an alien invasion and ask, how can I ramp it up to 11? They gave us not just an entire new game mode, but damn near a new map with the alien abduction mechanic into the mothership. Not to mention, it was incredibly rewarding and stressful to be given a time limit to grab loot in the alien spaceship. There aren't many complaints I can think of when I look back at this season. Even the live event was amazing, which gave us a good twist and left us on a bigger cliffhanger. I think Chapter 2, even though it had a slow start, should be praised in its entirety. Not just for keeping the core elements of Fortnite present all throughout, but also just for innovating damn near every season and coming up with new ideas constantly. The real question is, though, is it as good as OG Fortnite? I think I need to start this section off with an apology. I am sorry if you didn't get to play Fortnite at this time. I am sorry that Fortnite OG will never be able to replicate what this was. This might sound corny, but the only way to describe this period in time is magical. You have to understand that at the time when Fortnite came out, the internet was different. Gaming was different, and more importantly, our expectations were different. See, back when I was a kid, video games with free roam features and fully destructible environments were huge selling points. That was the draw of the 2007 Transformer movie games. When I first saw Fortnite, I looked at it as an open world survival game with 99 other real players. The concept was so novel to me. The idea that I could break down any object for materials seemed creative, the building mechanic ingenious, and the island was just this big mystery with a question mark over it. I wanted to explore every corner of the map, maybe get a couple of kills, and hopefully get lucky enough to get a victory royale. I had no idea that this game was going to change gaming culture and my life forever.
Start jumping, Clint. Start jumping, sir.
How many of them are there?
Start jumping, bro. Start jumping.
Get him!
See, before this, there weren't as many people worried about becoming a gaming pro. Players weren't worried about becoming the next FNCS champion. We weren't worried about making a living off of this game. We weren't grinding to be the next big streamer. Gaming was still overall just about having fun rather than turning it into a business. And listen, I know that might sound a little hypocritical coming from me because that's what I did. I took my passion and turned it into a business. I didn't grow up as a gamer. I didn't grow up as someone playing a lot of video games, but there was something about Fortnite that got me more addicted than any other video game could in the past. The only other video game that I think rivaled my amount of time spent playing it would have been Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, but even that fell by the wayside when I started really getting into Fortnite. I say all of this to say that OG Fortnite in part was so damn exciting because nothing like it ever existed during a time when the mindset of players was completely different. When we started getting crazy in-game events and live map changes on top of weekly updates, we were constantly bombarded with a dopamine rush of excitement that we weren't used to. Midway through Chapter 1, we kind of had an idea of what Fortnite was, but Epic was eager to make this game better at every turn. It seemed like they would never run out of ideas. Now, taking a step back and looking at this giant painting that I just laid out for you here, this is the reason why Fortnite OG can never be OG Fortnite. You cannot replicate the culture and the mindset of players at that time, which is a big reason as to why Fortnite was so fun. I've gone on record to say that Chapter 1 Season 6 is my favorite season, mainly because that was the season that started getting me good at Fortnite. However, that was only in preparation for what was to come. There are so many seasons I could justify for the #1 spot, but if I had to pick one that was the perfect representation of what OG Fortnite was, it would hands down have to be Chapter 1 Season 7. Fortnite Chapters 6 through 8 were the peak times to play Chapter 1. I know a lot of you should have played in Season 3 or 4. Those were also great times, but Fortnite really found a momentum of its own in those middle seasons. By Season 6, the world fully understood what Fortnite was, and it had fully established itself as a juggernaut in the gaming space. And although all the cool stuff that we wouldn't see until later hadn't popped up yet, it was still culturally one of the most exciting games to play. Season 7 specifically introduced so much into Fortnite. Our first snow biome, the Infinity Blade, a mid-season live event which covered the entire map in snow, something the player base had been wanting for a long time, not to mention the insane amount of updates happening almost every week. We had changes made to the map for Christmas and Valentine's Day. There's an interesting storyline going on with the Ice Castle, the Ice King, and the Prisoner. Not to mention, we probably had the most fun BR meta in history with Siphon. I know Epic claimed that they took Siphon out because they didn't like how toxic it made the game, with players thirsting opponents instantly to get health back. However, as hindsight would show us, that didn't stop the problem. I think Siphon was the best in-game mechanic ever added to Fortnite. An increased farming rate on mats and health on kill. It made players way more aggressive. Fights were more consistent and intense. It also made third parties more manageable. I feel it even gave worse players a better chance to survive longer if they were able to down an opponent and recoup some of their health back. And listen, I know there are going to be a handful of players commenting. I can already hear the keyboards typing now.
I think Siphon was the worst thing that happened to Fortnite. I hate aggressive players. Sweat's ruining the game.
Listen, this is just my opinion, and I could totally be wrong, but when the vast majority of players are confident and excited to push fights, it makes gameplay so much more enjoyable for everyone because the fights become more dynamic and unpredictable. Will it require you to get better at the game? Yes. Will you probably die a lot in the process? Absolutely. Will this have happened anyway without Siphon? Sure. Let's go back to Chapter 4 for a moment. When we had the Heisted update in Season 1, I saw a similar phenomenon. People were a lot more excited to push fights, and there were a lot more of them. It's just chaos, and that's what I loved about Fortnite during Season 7. An amazing loot pool, amazing mechanics, people were having fun playing the game, streaming it, competitive was just starting, and Season 7 also gave us creative Fortnite. This is also the time I found some of my favorite content creators in the space, and looking back at how their attitudes were and how much they enjoyed playing Fortnite, it made everyone more excited. The streamers were having fun, the casual players were having fun, everyone was just enjoying this period in Fortnite. It definitely was one of the best times to be playing Fortnite, and it's something that OG just can't replicate. So let's look at everything we've covered so far. My favorite seasons are Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 7, Chapter 2 Season 7, Chapter 3 Season 4, and Chapter 4 Season 1. Looking at these 4 seasons, it's making me wonder, what are the common traits that make these seasons so appealing to me? Also, at this point in the video, I'm really curious as to what your favorite seasons were, so make sure, if you haven't already, leave a comment down below and let me know that, but also, subscribe to the channel, bro. You're this far into the video. Come on. You can unsubscribe later, but you won't because the content here is so awesome. You're welcome. Welcome to the family. Guys, listen, I'm a competitive person. I always have been. If I take the time to invest into something, I want to be good at it. Looking at the Fortnite seasons I enjoy the most, they all come towards the end of a chapter, with the exception of Chapter 4 Season 1. I think it's because by the end of a chapter, I'm used to the general meta and play pattern that it's established. I've adjusted to it. I also would like to point out that I was playing competitive Fortnite heavily in 3 out of these 4 seasons. Not to mention in 2 of them, the mechanics incentivized and rewarded more aggressive gameplay. I think the reason why Chapter 4 Season 1 is the outlier is because it was so different from the other seasons, it felt like something entirely different unto itself. I'm also a more experienced Fortnite player, and some of the mechanics presented to me in the end of that season were reminiscent of some of my favorite times to play in Fortnite Chapter 1. But we're here to talk about the similarities. What are some of the common themes between all 4 of these seasons? First is variety. All 4 of these seasons had an insane selection of weapons, which made it hard to choose what you wanted. Best Fortnite seasons, in my opinion, allowed players to choose between several play styles. On top of that, the loot pools also seemed to match the theme of the seasons very well. We also had a strong emphasis on story, which led to consistent updates and something to look forward to. I know that Chapter 4 didn't have the craziest updates overall, but Season 1 definitely gave us enough to keep the game interesting. Next, there always seemed to be some groundbreaking or new mechanic. Chapter 1, it's Siphon. Chapter 2, it's Alien Abduction. Chapter 3, it's Chrome Blobs. Chapter 4, it's Augments. These are also concepts that feel right at home with Fortnite's overall tone, and that leads me to the next point. None of these seasons took themselves too seriously. Whether it's an Ice King from outer space bringing a blizzard onto the Fortnite island, or yeeting myself around the map with a giant hammer, the tone felt lighthearted in nature while also knowing when to darken its tone. Finally, and most importantly, none of these seasons relied on collabs to tell their story or to make the loot pool exciting. It was Epic using the amazing talents of their team to make a compelling storyline with a matching selection of weapons and updates to keep us engaged the entire time. When Epic is forced to come up with a new idea rather than lean on a concept from another franchise, it always makes their game stand out more. They may take inspiration from something else, but they still make it uniquely Fortnite. The best analogy I can give is the OG Reaper skin compared to the official John Wick skin. Is it cool to have John Wick in Fortnite? Yes. But there will always be something special about the Reaper skin. I almost wish Fortnite had have kept doing that instead of getting the official characters in Fortnite. There's another thing that I want you to understand here, and it comes down to where you and I might disagree on what our favorite seasons of all time are. If you replace some of my favorite seasons with some of yours, you'll notice that they share a lot of these qualities that I've listed. For example, replace Chapter 2 Season 7 with Season 2, or Chapter 3 Season 4 with Seasons 1 or 2. They all have these fun, intrinsic qualities. I just believe that the seasons I chose did them the best, and if you disagree, that's okay. Now let's bring this all the way back to Fortnite Chapter 5. If we look at this current chapter, does it feel like we were given a lot of these qualities that make up a good Fortnite season? I think for a large majority of them, the answer is no. However, with all the Season 2 teasers, it looks like Fortnite is headed in the right direction. So many people are excited for Season 2, and why is that? It's for a lot of the points that we talked about earlier. An interesting teaser and in-game map changes, which imply a bigger story brewing, as well as a lack of collabs being the focus for next season. Just like you guys, I'm intrigued, and I think that Fortnite Season 2 shows a lot of promise, something that we'll be talking about a lot this week on the channel. Speaking of which, you're all probably wondering what my favorite Fortnite season is out of the 4 that we talked about today. If you want the answer, you'll have to join my Discord, link to which will be in the pinned comment down below. I'll have a specific channel just for you guys to find the answer there. And if you want to talk about it with me live on stream, you can do that this coming Thursday during downtime when we're waiting for Chapter 5 Season 2 to drop. Stream will probably start around 11 p.m. Eastern Time. That way we can say goodbye to Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 1 together. Also, per usual, I'll be staying up really late to cover the Fortnite leaks with you guys. Maybe I'll even give away some V-Bucks. Until then, I love you guys, and I will see you later this week.